Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we are reacting to common stereotypes about Americans, because we all love a good old stereotype, don't we? Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I can't, but I'm so out of the loop with stuff like this anyway. I just keep myself to myself, and that's about it, really. So I don't know. If you can think of any stereotypes about Americans that really wind you up, or that you may agree with, stick them down in the comments, please. While we're getting to comments, I will be getting into replying to these all your comments soon. As soon as I get this computer sorted, I'm still using my daughter's one, and I tell you what, sitting on this laptop for more than an hour, 2 hours at a time, which I'm having to do anyway, is absolutely. I'm losing more of my hair, and I don't have a lot to lose, guys. I don't. And it's going. But yeah, hopefully I'm getting that computer sorted this week, and I'll reply to everyone's comments. So thanks so much to everyone who's commented as well. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you're feeling extra frisky, you may as well hit the like button as well. And without further ado, let's get into common stereotypes about Americans.
We all love to stereotype, to believe in or to cast forth oversimplified ideas about certain groups, and in today's case, a nationality. Is it really true that all Italians are passionate lovers and equally passionate about food? Do the Brits have stiff upper lips and bad teeth? Are Canadians simple, outdoorsy types with an enthusiasm for chopping wood? Well, today we are going to look at just one country in this episode of the infographic show, Common Stereotypes About Americans. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button so that you can be part of our
do that to me as well.
The big, bold, brash American. How true is that? There is a stereotype that Americans are a big or fat nation. The stereotype is partly true.
That's one I've heard of. Actually, now that he says it, but it's not true. I mean, just look at any of the guys on YouTube or Instagram or anywhere like that. It's clearly not true. Not everyone.
If you believe the World Health Organization, according to 2015 data, the USA was the most obese Western nation in the world, but it only came 16th on the list, which included all the world's nations. The island of Nauru in the region of Micronesia came first on the list. Reports suggest Americans actually exercise a lot, but with a diet of fast food, high sugar intake, and super-sized portions, US citizens will have a hard time running off the extra pounds. We might take bold and brash to sometimes mean arrogant and dismissive of other cultures. Who hasn't seen those viral video clips wherein Americans are subjected to global knowledge questions?
I've seen these clips, like where's so-and-so place, like the geography questions, but I guarantee you, if someone walks up to you in the street and asks you to spell your second name, you with a camera and a microphone, and you're not expecting it, you're going to get a bit stuck. So I don't necessarily agree with those videos. We'll see what he has to say, but yeah, I would be caught off guard.
Looking like they know little about the world. According to the writer and habitually quoted academic Noam Chomsky, the average American knows a lot more about sports than global politics. The gas station attendant who wants to use his mind isn't going to waste his time on international affairs because that's useless. He can't do anything about it, said Chomsky, stating that people use their expertise where they think it counts. He also said to be critical and disobedient went against the grain, and so most Americans just join in the debate at the trivial level.
Yes, that's it. Like, I don't give a crap about stuff like that sometimes. I just want to talk about normal stuff, I get that.
And know very little about deconstructing global politics. Someone writing on Quora said the education system, the TV media, are US-centric. She also pointed out that America is large enough to travel around extensively, and foreign travel can be prohibitively.
I said that in my top 25 places to visit in America reaction. It's so big, you don't need to travel around. You don't need to go abroad. You've got everything there.
The State Department said in 2016 that 64% of Americans don't even own a passport. But then you could ask, with such a large and beautiful country, do they need one?
Exactly.
Another stereotype related to lack of knowledge about other countries might be that Americans watch way too much television, and that sometimes those shows are a tad mind-numbing. Well, Americans do top the list of being the most avid TV watchers in the world. According to a Recode article in 2016, the average American watches 4.3 hours of TV a day. The older generation more so than the younger generation, who prefer spending time using other devices.
Yeah, I was going to say the younger generation will be YouTube.
One could ask if you could equate the global ignorant stereotype with being the country that is glued to what has sometimes been called the idiot box more than anyone else. We are starting to sound quite negative now. So what about all those positive stereotypes? The well-known English writer Stephen Fry once said that after traveling around the USA for a while making a TV program, one thing he most admired was the friendliness and positive outlook of Americans. He extolled what he called American optimism, and that American people believed they could improve and do what they wanted to if they tried. This all may boil down to what we might call the American dream and the pursuit of happiness. Are all Americans like this? A report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime put Americans 8th on the list of most drug-addicted countries, noting that the prescription painkiller epidemic is presently very worrying. North America had the highest amount of drug-related deaths of all continents in 2015, with the report stating,
That's scary. That's really scary. See, I'm a documentary guy. I like watching documentaries as well. And I've watched a documentary on the fentanyl problem you guys have over there in America, as well as some other opioids or opiates or whatever they're called. And it's pretty damn scary, to be honest with you. The world is a different place now, isn't it?
in the United States, nearly 500,000 people are estimated to have died from drug overdoses since 2000. Just recently, the New York Times reported that drug overdoses in the US were rising faster than ever. Perhaps American optimism is partially true, but American OxyContin addiction undermines the positive outlook stereotype. What about guns? Americans love their guns, right? According to the Telegraph in 2016, Americans do indeed have more guns per person than any other country in the world. The data tells us there are 112.6 per 100 citizens, more than a gun for every person. It's true that many Americans support the right to bear arms, but it's also true that many other Americans support tighter gun control or the banning of guns altogether.
I don't think banning guns are going to help anything, to be honest with you. Please do not get down my throat about it. I don't know enough about it to speak on the topic. I just think if you ban guns, I've seen what happened in South Africa when they took all the guns away, and then all the farm murders and that started happening, because if people can't look after themselves or protect their homes, it's down. Do you think the bad guys care? Yes, I said bad guys. I'm old, but do you think they care if it's licensed or not? They don't give a damn. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I know there needs to be some sort of change. There has to be with all the shootings and that are going on. There has to be some sort of, it's like a give and take. You have to sort it out some other way, but banning it altogether, I don't think that will help at all.
A recent Pew Research poll found that 52% of Americans support stricter gun control, while only 18% wanted less strict control. A Gallup poll in 2016 said that 76% of Americans said handguns should not be banned for all people, not including authorities, but 23% said they should. Another stereotype is that Americans are loud and sometimes rude. An op-ed in the Huffington Post seems to agree with this assertion. Awareness of how personal actions impact others seems to be a weak point for Americans in general, said the writer. This translates to the perceived ignorant persona Americans abroad present, she added. There are many reasons put forward as to why this is. Yeah, maybe, but go to any European country, and I've got a British passport as well as a South African passport, and like when I'm checking in the hotel and that, everyone automatically assumes I'm British. And the Brits in Europe have got such a bad reputation, especially the younger guys, for drinking and fighting and acting like idiots. So I would caution, don't tar everyone with the same brush. Especially when abroad, but the main one is that instilled in Americans is not only a positive outlook, but also self-importance. People think they should be heard, and this also goes back to embracing freedom of speech and saying what the hell you want to say, goddammit. This has sometimes been taken as rude in a situation where an American I'm gonna pause again, because I agree with the whole freedom of speech thing, but I think it applies to everybody, and if I'm free to say something and it offends you, you shouldn't be able to protest about it just because it offends you, or demand a massive change because you're offended by what I said, and vice versa. If you say something that offends me, I'm not going to come and scream and shout about it. You have every right to have your own opinion and your own thoughts. And there's a lot of SH1T going on at the moment because people aren't allowed to say what they think if it goes against what everyone else thinks, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to be very careful with what I say. Restaurant, but perhaps these people only think they are enjoying their right to do that. In Japan, there's a saying, hit the nail that sticks out, while in America it might be more applicable to say, be sure to make good use of your protuberance. This also might align with the stereotype of American patriotism. When British students asked American students questions about stereotypes, one Brit kid asked why Americans were so patriotic. Some American students didn't deny it and gave good answers. One student said, we are a major melting pot country. Rather than history or a common language that unites us, we are united by freedom, which is what it means to be American. It is, however, possibly a weak stereotype, as another student said he wasn't patriotic at all, and another called patriotism mere mob mentality. A Gallup poll said that in 2016, someone commented on a few people commented on my, there's been a few of the videos, the 9/11 video, and that because I said I love the patriotism there, and they say it's dying out with the age, like the younger generation aren't as
patriotic as the older generation. So
2016,
it's a bit
only
sad, it's true.
53% of Americans said they felt extremely proud to be American. This compares to 70% who said yes to that question in 2003. It said the younger generation was the cause of this huge change, which mirrors the mob mentality students believe. Sometimes you'll notice in Europe there's a certain snootiness that Americans are not cultured. This to some extent could be true, as the United States is relatively new, and so we can't really credit the country for a renaissance of culture. But hold on, what about the great transcendentalist movement of the 19th century with its poets and philosophers that is making a comeback today against hyper-consumerist values? This later led to the free-spirited Beat generation and the books of Jack Kerouac. In music, America gave us the blues, originating from African Americans in the Mississippi Delta. It gave us New Orleans jazz. It gave us, to a large extent, the hippie 60s and the American Kool-Aid acid test. In New York in the 70s, we got disco, and following that came the hip-hop movement. Throughout those years, writers vied to write the great American novels. Some of them, such as Joseph Heller, Philip Roth, and Toni Morrison, wrote literary masterpieces that will go down as books that changed the world. Can we really say that Americans are uncultured? So, what do you think of these American stereotypes?
Put yours down in the comments. Let me know what you think about some of the stereotypes that were mentioned, and if there's any else that you've heard of. I personally haven't heard many. I thought the stereotype was, well, he mentioned it in a thereabout way. I stereotypically thought that, like, America is hugely patriotic, until I was corrected a few times in the comments by people saying, oh, well, that's actually... I'm patriotic, my family's patriotic, but some of the younger generation aren't patriotic anymore. And I think that's sad, not only in America, but everywhere. It's just, the world's going through massive changes at the moment, and some of them aren't great, in my opinion. But who am I? Who the heck am I to say anything? Therefore, I keep my mouth shut. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.